So the house was listed with an electric vehicle charger, or supposedly it said, but also had on the side of the house was a NEMA 1540 outlet, which kind of is wrong because it's not an electric vehicle charger. It's just a port for one, or an outlet for one. So that's kind of aggravating, especially if you don't have the proper adapter, which I do have, but this was just easier since I was able to be in the carport with the Mach-E for charging, but I was actually just plugging it into the 110 volt outlet. Took a little bit to charge up, a couple days, and right now we're just topping it off because tomorrow we have the long trip from here in the Outer Banks back home, hopefully on a single charge. But anyway, let's take a look at the navigation and see what's going to be needed from us for tomorrow. Alright, so right now the current trip plan, or at least this is what the computer is doing for us, is it's making us go all the way back up the island, go across the bridge here, and come out over into North Carolina, back out to Route 95, and then south again like this. However, we have a different plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, we are going to the end of this island here, and we are actually going to get onto a ferry. And that ferry is going to take us from here over to this island, this island, and then we're going to drive all the way down to the very tip of this island, which is end up going to bring us over to basically somewhere over here. So we have a couple ferries we have to do tomorrow, one from here to here, and then from that side of the island all the way over to here. So we got about 3.5 to 4 hours of ferries tomorrow, but I think that's going to be a pretty good part of the trip. So the idea is to get all the way from here all the way to home on one charge. That's the goal. So low speeds the whole way, and hopefully with that, cutting out that much with the ferry, we'll be able to easily get all the way there to our house on one charge. So I'm going to be charging it up to 100%. Right now we're at about 89% state of charge. It says it's going to finish by tomorrow morning, which is perfect. And then we'll be out on the road probably about around 8 o'clock or so to get the first ferry, and then we have the second ferry scheduled for that. So let's get the car packed up tonight, and then we will be out on the road in just a little bit. Alright, well, it's the morning of departure. We are leaving here in the Outer Banks and heading home. First stop is the ferry. Get off there on Ocracoke Island and then take the next ferry, the much longer ferry, to the mainland, back to the mainland. So we are getting in the car right now, and we are going, and we will see you at the ferry. Oh, by the way, welcome to Tech Motoring. So it looks like after I had adjusted everything on my phone and I just added the destination back in of our house, it decided to change the route. We're supposed to be going this way down the coast. So we're just going to go to the ferry, and hopefully it recalculates once we get out in the middle of the ocean there, and it realizes what we're doing. So let's head on out and see how we end up. Alright, well, it looks like our navigation is finally mostly updated. It now tells us to leave the ferry in 5 miles, which I assume is the length of this trip. And it shows us going over to Ocracoke Island, and then that's where it stops. It looks like it wants us to make a U-turn and go back on the ferry and go back. But that's not what we're doing! We are going all the way to the bottom of Ocracoke. All the way down here. And we are taking another ferry, and that ferry will get us over to the mainland. Looking forward to that. Unfortunately, this boat's diesel and it smells really bad, but hey, maybe there'll be an electric ferry in the future. Alright, we'll update you as we go.
Alright, well, we just got back in the car because the ferry is coming into port, so we will be getting off the boat shortly. We just picked out a restaurant to go eat since we have a little bit of time to kill, and then we got to be ready for the next ferry at 1 o'clock. We actually got to be there about 12:30, but we're going to go get some lunch around 11, get to the ferry, and we'll be on our way, and that's going to be the long ferry, over 2 hours, so looking forward to relaxing a little bit there, and then we'll finally get to drive the car a little bit. So, yeah, let's take a look at some beautiful views. Just had an awesome lunch down the street here from the ferry, and right now we are 95% stated charge. I don't know if this takes into account the ferry, so we're gonna find that out. I don't think it does. I think this is just roads, but I guess we'll figure that out on the way. And of course, if we have to charge up for any reason, we have some bailout options. So let's go ahead and get to the ferry and take a look at that. right, so we just got off the second ferry of the day, so we are back on the mainland now, heading southbound here, and it's estimating that we have about 202 miles left to get home, and we have about 226 miles of range left on the battery. It's actually recommending that we stop at a, if you can take a look right down here, it actually shows that it's recommending that we stop at this Harley-Davidson dealership for a DC fast charge for 5 minutes for 4%, and that's it. So that's probably completely unnecessary. I think what it's trying to do is it's trying to get us home with more than 10% battery, because right now it's estimating that we'll be home with 13% if we were to do that stop. So I think it's trying to get us home with at least 10%. So that's completely unnecessary. We're probably going to really do well with efficiency for the next 100 miles anyway. And worst case scenario is if we have to do, if we have to stop somewhere, we can find a level 2 charger to stop at for dinner or something for an hour. So I'm not really concerned. I think we're going to be perfectly fine. But we're going to skip the charger. We're going to go straight all the way to the house, or at least that's the plan right now. So right now we get to enjoy these beautiful views, and yeah, we're going to enjoy this trip. So we'll see you in a little bit. So I went ahead and redid the navigation, thinking it might actually just cancel out the stop. In fact, I actually just made it worse. So now it says that it wants us to stop for 25 minutes to charge up to 45%, so we could be home at 32%. Doesn't really make any sense. We currently have 132 miles left till we're home, with a range of 173 miles on the GOM. So considering that that's a 40-mile buffer, I really don't understand why it's even telling us to stop at this point. But we're going to keep going. We're going to blow right past this charge and just keep going home, because we're going to get even better efficiencies as we continue on. There goes our last salvation for charging on this trip. The last DC fast charger between us and home. It's already yelling at us to make a U-turn here to go back, because it thinks we're not going to make it. But if we look at our statistics here, we have 78 miles of range, 32%. We only have 32 miles to get home. We have a 46-mile buffer to get home right now, so I don't really have any concern here. We're going to be good. We're going all the way. No need to stop. It's going to yell at me for a long time. So we are officially 18 miles from that charger that we passed, and yet it is still trying to reroute us back, and we are about, I don't know, 15, 16 miles from home. Look at it. It keeps rerouting us. We are closer to home than that charger, and it is continuously trying to... Oh. Nope, it's still trying to get us to go back. Anyway, we're going home. It don't matter at this point. I'm just curious to see how much further this goes. Just getting the low battery warning here on the screen. It is still trying to tell us to turn around. I cannot believe this. Ford, you gotta fix this. We're like a few miles from our house, and it is still yelling at us to turn around to the charger. Absolutely ridiculous. Alright, well, we're gonna be home soon. Alright, so we just got back home. So this was the trip from when we got off of the second ferry, and then we haven't stopped. So 4 hours and change, 207 miles. I would say this was probably more like a 220 mile trip because of the little driving we did on Ocracoke Island, which was about 10 miles or so, and then the mile and change back in Hatteras. So we probably did about 220 miles. I forgot to do the trip reset, so that was my fault. But our efficiency was 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour at 220-ish miles. And our percentage left on the battery is 19%. We still have almost a fifth of the battery left. And the funny thing is the navigation was still yelling at us as we're sitting in our driveway to go back to the charger. Ford, fix that, please. That is obnoxious. I actually let it go the entire time because I was really curious. But anyway, we did fantastic on this trip. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us on this trip. This was a really, really fun trip in the Mach-E, showing that electric vehicles are capable of going long distances, even without a charging network really to rely on. I mean, we went from the very south end of the Outer Banks of North Carolina and was able to drive all the way to Myrtle Beach without charging the car, except for at the house, which is the convenience factor of having an EV. Just plug into any wall outlet you have. And that's the beauty of this. I'd like to thank you very much for watching today's episode. Please like the video just below. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Of course, you can check us out on our website, techmotoring.com, facebook.com/techmotoring. Follow us on Twitter @techmotoring. I'd like to thank you very much again for watching. And remember, welcome to the future and welcome to Tech Motoring. And we'll see you on the next road trip. Let's take a look at some of the battle scars here. This car is nasty dirty from this trip. Look at this. All that salt air and stuff that's there. Oh, just nasty, nasty, nasty. All over the front of the car. Oh, I can't wait to give this car a wash.